And welcome, everyone. Um, it's funny. Just as we let me mute everybody because we're going to have some audience muters. We'll start this call off like every other call, guys. We do a lot of online meetings slash Zooms, so it makes sense to look at your phone, make sure you're muted, and you don't have a bunch of background noise. So, um, yeah, it's interesting. Like literally right before I got on this call, I was listening to Tony Robbins. Lately, I've been sharing with you guys some Tony Robbins stuff, and then, but I'm listening to it as well, and it's funny as he's talking. He said that there's only 10% of people that will even buy an audio program and then actually follow through and listen to the whole thing. And as we talk about that, like, I just want to ask you guys, like, how many of you all have ever said you're going to do something and then you just come up with reasons or excuses or whatever on why it doesn't actually happen? Has anybody else done that, or am I the only one? Like, has anyone ever said, you know what? I'm going to start working out tomorrow, right? And you're like, I'm going to start working out. I'm going to get in shape. And then what happens is life happens and you don't do what you said that you wanted to do, right? And it's funny because what Tony was talking about is that everyone does everything they can. I'm trying to get to where I don't have like lights right in my face, but basically everyone does everything they can to avoid pain and go towards pleasure. And it's interesting because everybody wants to, right? Like, we all want to be in great shape. We all want to make more money. We all say a lot of things, right? But what is it, and what is the truth on how important it is to you? And what Tony was talking about, as what I was just listening to, was that everything, that the deciding factor in life on if you do things or not, and the reason why everyone is driven to either do things or not, all boils down to pain versus pleasure. It's really that simple. Like, we buy products all the time, and people don't buy products that might have the most quality. They buy the products that bring the most pleasure to themselves mentally when they're actually looking at, different products. And that's why in marketing, what we're being sold is a feeling, right? And that's why they get athletes and movie stars and all kinds of people to do advertisements for those companies, is because they want to anchor the association of pleasure that you might have by either watching that person play sports or watching a movie that they're in and you really like them because of like the character. Like, let me ask you this. Has anybody ever like watched the movie and like, God, oh my God, that guy is such a great actor. That girl is so good. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. And then you hear them in an interview and you hear their real life, and you're like, they're a freaking jerk, right? And you don't feel the same way about them when you actually got to hear who they really are, right? And I'm sharing that because we're being marketed by stuff all the time, and it's based on anchoring that pleasure of whatever your experience of them might have been versus pain. Because everything we always, for instance, so can we agree that we'll say, I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to go to the gym, right? We've all said that, right? And then you don't go. Why? Like, why? What was the reason that you didn't go? It's because now you're thinking about the pain. You're thinking about, I got to do something. I got to move stuff. Now, if you're like me, I'm like, that's metal. Metal needs to be lifted up with a forklift or a wheelbarrow or something. I don't really get it. I go to the gym and I hired a trainer that I go to 3 days a week. And why? Because if I leave it up to myself, I'm going to avoid the pain, right? So what I've done is I pay my trainer up front for the month. So I pay up front for the month because the pain of not going and wasting money to me, because I'm frugal, is more than the pain of actually going. And it's funny because he'll make comments all the time like, he's like, you don't look like you want to be here. And I'm like, nope. And he's like, and then he congratulates me for doing it anyway. And I'm sharing that because there's a lot of things in your life that, you know, you say that you want to do, but then you don't go do them. Why not? And then, you know, how is it when you actually do something? Like, has anybody else like felt like, you know, you say you want to do something and then that other voice starts saying, nah, you can do it later or whatever. And you just start, you know, I could do it later, but then you just go and do it anyway. And you're just like, oh, I'm going to just get it out of the way. How did you feel when you actually pushed through and did it anyway? Isn't it crazy how you feel so much better when you go do it? Now, this is the part that's just, I love this part. So now, how many of you all have thought about going to the gym or thought about making phone calls to certain people, or I'm going to call this person or that person? Anybody have that? And then what happens is then we start to have those conversations in our head. Well, you know, they might say no, or this might happen, or that might happen. You start telling yourself a story. Has anybody else done that, or am I the only one? And you start telling yourself. So this is the funniest part about it. You ever notice that you actually spend more energy thinking about doing something than if you just actually would have went out and done it? Like, there's been times where, and that's, again, I have a trainer and I have the time set that I have to go at that time and all this stuff because that's what's set. So I'm sharing that because if I didn't do that, I could come up with all kinds of, man, I got to go look at my dirt. I got to go do this. I got to go do that. I can figure out all kinds of stuff that I could do without doing it. And then what I found is that I will spend way more energy not doing it than what I would have done if I actually did it. Like, I'll spend more energy thinking about it, going, well, and having all these stories and all this stuff going on. And if I just would have went and did it, basically it would have been so much easier, and I would have saved a lot of energy that I wasted not doing it. And I'm sharing that because I want you to think about it. Like, how much time are you spending not living your life? How much time are you spending not doing your business when you say that you want to do it, but then you don't do it? And what are the reasons on why you're not really doing it? It really always boils down to pain. It boils down to the pain of, you know, stories that you tell yourself, because most of it's not real. So I approached someone that that when I got started in the industry, like, this was one of the millionaires in the company I was in and stuff like that. And I hadn't heard from the guy in, God knows, I don't know how many years. And I just randomly, I'm like thinking of people I can call that I respect, people that if I had to go on a scale of 1 to 10, I want to call a 10. So I pick up the phone, I call this guy, and he tells me he hasn't done the industry in a while. And then we just start talking. I'm like, hey, look, this may or may not be for you, but, you know, we were talking about some of the things that we're not real fond about with the industry. And what, as I was sharing with the fact that how I feel the exact same way, and that I build this because it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of what most people experience. And guys, what makes it the exact opposite? Because that's the way that I feel, and I don't want to do anything that feels a certain way. So I create the expectation, I create the atmosphere, I create what I want to be a part of, and then that's what it is. And I don't do the stuff that's not that stuff, if that makes sense. And I'm sharing that because many of us will sit there and look at the company this, the company that, and the company this, and the company that. But this is the reality, guys. The company only has a couple things. And if y'all ever listen to Brian, he says it all the time. And I talk to Brian all the time, and he's mentioned it many, many times. But the company's only responsibility is one, having a website we can enroll people on. Two, having product and deliver it to people in a timely fashion. And then three, pay your check. I mean, realistically, that's what they are there to do. All of the other stuff is your responsibility. In other words, it's my responsibility. How you feel about everything is my responsibility. How I go about looking at things is my responsibility. Now, if the company has challenges and I can't enroll people and I'm having problems with this and problems with that, now those are things that I go to the company to change. But when we talk about the environment, what is the company? And you've heard the saying that people don't join companies, they join people. So people are joining you. They're not joining the company. So how do you make them feel? How do you basically create that environment that they want to be a part of? Because let's face it, all right? So if you go to a party, like what makes a party a good party? The people and how people decide to act, right? Like you could go to a party and nobody's doing anything and everybody's just kind of chilling out and it's quiet or whatever. And so you can make a decision to go change the station or put a different radio, station on or whatever. And you can start, wiggling your thing. You can start wiggling. You start getting your little groove on. And I mean, I know not everybody can have moves like me and stuff like that. But point being is guys, it's your choice on how you create your energy at that party that changes the whole dynamic of the party or not. And you can change the way that you can like literally say, let's spice this up a little bit, change the energy, change the music, and then boom, it's a different party. And I watched this happen. I was over and I went with a buddy of mine just to go drop something off. And we go in there and they're cooking food for a 4-wheeling trip they're going to make the next week. And next thing you know, people started having a couple drinks, beverages, whatever you want to call it. And then next thing you know, like we're out in the garage listening to the stereo on the 4-wheeler. And then he made like this box thing that is like a stereo in a box with a whatever. Well, everybody was just inside chilled and, they're all sitting around the kitchen and whatever, and people are eating. And we're listening to this music in the garage. And then he's like, let's bring this inside. So then we bring this like boom box into the house. And then it's like jamming stereo in the house. And there's like kids. And it went from being totally chilled to people are popping and dancing and just it got crazy. Just fun. People are having fun dancing and stuff like that. The point is what made it a fun party? We did. So I'm sharing that because, in this business of direct sales and network marketing, the only thing that we can do is make sure that the first circle works. And I remember one of my mentors, when I got started in this industry and they were talking about, is this one of them pyramids, whatever. And he's like, yes. And I was like, it is. And he's like, yes, but this is the best part about it. You start off at the top of your pyramid and you're at the top of it. Because we've heard those people say some silly things like, only the people at the top make money and whatever. But this is the beautiful part is no matter where you are, when you start, you are at the top of your business. And the only one that matters is you, which is making the first circle work. Randy Gage has a book called Making the First Circle Work. And he talks all about this. And it's a pretty short read and stuff. And it's good stuff. But guys, y'all have heard me talk about a lot of the stuff that Randy Gage has talked about over the years, because I'm just a collaboration of the books I've read, the audio tapes I've listened to, and the people that I've been fortunate to spend time around. And that's what we all are. And the beautiful part about it is you can decide to shift, change, step up your game, and become the person that people would love to join. Like, you can literally become that person. So when I say making the first circle work, it's like, well, who decides if you're a good upline or not? You. Who decides if you're a good sponsor, a good support person? You. Well, how does that work? Well, then you ask the question, well, what would a good sponsor look like? What would they do? And then you basically, it's just like, has anybody ever watched somebody that, like, two spouses or boyfriend, girlfriend or whatever, and like one acts like a jerk to the other one, and you're sitting there going, wow, and you're just sitting there going, like, why would they treat that person like that? Well, guess what? If you want to be a good boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, don't treat them like that. And then you see other people that have this amazing, whatever it is, relationship, and you're like, wow, the way that he talks to her and the way that she talks to him, well, that's good stuff. Like, wow, well, guess what? Do what they did. Guys, this is not rocket science. It's really just a matter of saying that, you know what? I want to be this type of person. And then start doing the things that are congruent with that type of person. I want to be this type of leader. All right, well, what does that look like? And then start doing those things. And then start acting those ways. Guys, this is not like some big complicated. People are like, you know what? I need to get this course, and I need to read this book, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to do this. Well, guys, when you feel I need to do anything, like, how does that make you feel when you say I need to? Like, I know that I'm one of those that are rebellious, and I don't need to do anything. And I especially don't want to be told, you need to do this and you need to do that. But how about if we get to reframe it, and because it's our life and our world and our universe, and we get to frame it any way we want, what if I get to do this? I get to prospect. I get to whatever. I get to go to the gym and make my, have my trainer make me do stuff that I don't necessarily want. And again, in there, it's a joke for me. Like, I'll push through different things, and a good buddy of mine will come and we'll work out together, and my brother will come and we'll all train at the same time at times and stuff like that. So we're messing with each other, and one's doing more reps, or one might up the weight, and then we start harassing each other and all that kind of stuff. So something that I don't really want to do, yeah, I want to be in great shape. But do I want to go to the gym? No, but I go because the pain of not going for me financially would be worse than going, knowing that I paid for it anyway. So I'm sharing that because, guys, we can reframe our pains and our pleasures. We can shift and change. I want to drive 8 hours to go surf. I see Sean over there, whatever. And Kim takes her ride with you because she doesn't surf. But the thing is that the funny part is that we can shift and align and change our pains, and we can change our pleasures, and we can make them something different than what we started out. So, bringing this all together, how do you feel about doing the business? How do you feel about prospecting? How do you feel about making the phone calls? How do you feel about messaging people? Are you dreading it, going, oh my gosh, they might say no? Are you thinking of all these things that could happen that haven't happened? Are you using these things to hold you back from doing it? But what if they did say yes? Like, guys, again, it goes pain versus pleasure. What if you brought in a superstar that did say yes. Well, guess what? If you didn't ask, I can promise you it's not going to happen. But if you go out there, so it's funny because all no's are equal. Like, it's funny because we want to go talk to the people that we think are going to be the easiest. And normally we want to go talk to the broke people because they need money, right? And those are the hardest. Those are the hardest people to talk to because many people are broke because of their thinking. Many people are broke because of the stinking thinking that they have, not because of their all out massive action in their life, right? Now, that's not to say people don't go through rough times, but many times we think that going after the ones and twos and threes is going to be easier, like the pain is going to be less if they say no. So all no's are equal, but all yeses aren't. It doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they are a bank owner or a bank teller. All no's are equal. It's the same thing. Guess what? They weren't in your business before, and they're not in your business after. So it's equal. But what if they did say yes? What if they did say yes and they turned out to be the next Triple Crown? Turned out to be the next diamond, the next ambassador, the next whatever. The bottom line is that all no's are equal, but all yeses aren't. So what story are you telling yourself on who you're going to call and why? Because if everything that we do in life is to avoid pain and go towards pleasure, what if you can reframe it and set up a game in your mind on, I'm going to go talk to people that are business minded. I'm going to go talk to people that are super successful. And guys, what I love about this is with those people, and what I love about this industry, and I used to get told all this all the time, maybe because I was a dud, but they said a dud can recruit a stud. They're like, a dud can recruit a stud. Guys, I was a horseshoer. I was not the stud. I was spending my day under a horse's butt every day. Like, I wasn't the guy like, ooh-wee, I want to go talk to Chris about this. Yeah, he smelled good. No, I smelled like a stinking sweaty horse. And for some of y'all might like that, but basically I stunk like hell. And if you ever picked the horse's foot and sat there and dug in a horse's foot, imagine doing that all day and like really rubbing it into your hands. Oh my God. The smell on your hands, it's a smell that you can't describe as you start to cut the foot away and all that stuff. And that was on my hands. And like, I had I had to have a box because I had a Yukon, and I had this box. And then finally I put like a basket on the back so I could keep my tools out of the car. And I went through probably 10 to 15 t-shirts a day, just because like I wasn't going to get in the car all nasty, sweaty, whatever. And man, you wouldn't believe the smell of the clothes. Oh, it was just bad. But I wasn't, and I'm sharing that because I want you to just picture, like that's where I was. But your past doesn't equal your future. It doesn't matter who I was. What mattered is who I was going to become. What matters is who you get to become. What matters is if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone to become the best version of yourself. And it doesn't happen by sitting on the couch. It doesn't happen. For instance, it's funny when I first started doing core, like horrible, like just doing the little things that he wanted me to do, like stomach exercise and stuff like that. It sucked. And then I was like, man, you need to stretch me first. So then now my core day, I have them stretch me first because then it just makes it easier or whatever. But at the end of the day, my stretching has dramatically changed. The core exercises that back in the day when I started that were absolutely miserable are like nothing anymore. And the funny thing is that when I started on many of the different machines or whatever different weights, the amount of weight I can lift now is totally different than the weight I could lift when I got started. Like there's some of the machines that I could just totally max out, like the booty machine where you like do the lift your leg from behind or whatever. Oh, I can max out the booty machine, whatever it's called. I call it the booty machine because it makes the booty nice, you know, but it's like where you lay on the thing and then you lift your leg back or whatever. And I think it goes up to like 160, 180 pounds or whatever, but no big deal. But when I started, I couldn't start at that. So the thing is, guys, is that where you are today isn't where you're going to be tomorrow if you're willing to put the work in. You know, it's funny, like I see Sean on the screen and he was having shoulder problems and wasn't even able to work out for a little while and stuff like that. But then through working through the stuff, you have to, guys, what I can tell you is that when you're hurting, sitting on the couch and relaxing doesn't make it better. In fact, it makes it worse. And it's called entropy or atrophy. In life, it's called entropy. Everything falls to its lowest term. And with your muscles, it's atrophy. And when you quit using things a certain way, if you quit, like you could have your arm in a sling for a month, and you would not believe how worthless that arm will be when you get it out. It's like you can't pick up 2 pounds, it feels like. You have to use your muscles. You have to use your brain. You have to use different things. How many of you all just have every single phone number all stored in the phone and you don't know anybody's numbers anymore? I purposely will, I have to admit, I don't know a lot of people's numbers, but I purposely, all the numbers that I do know, I call the number and dial it versus just saying, hey, call this person or call that person, which is easy. I do it because you have to work the muscle of the brain for it to continue to basically flourish. So I know that was a tangent, but the point is, guys, people think in pictures, and you have to picture why you are where you are and not ask yourself stupid, disempowering questions, because when I say why you are where you are, I'm talking about based on your activity, not on your limitations and all that other kind of stuff. Because like we said, the activity will make you better. If you start lifting the weight and you're able to lift up 5 pounds, well, if you keep lifting that 5 pounds, the 5 pound gets easy. Next thing you know, you're up to 7 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds. And you're able to up the weight, but it comes from doing it, right? Same thing is true with the business. Like, you know, I can just off the top of my head, I could prospect people and just like boom, 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 stuff just flows out. Why? Because I did it over and over and over and over and over and over. But in the beginning, I didn't. Why? Because I was afraid, because I was getting ready to be ready, because I was making excuses. I was saying, how many of y'all, come on, let's be honest. How many of y'all say, well, as soon as this happens, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all in as soon as whatever stupid story you're telling yourself. Like we're telling ourselves some kind of story. I don't know what your story is, but we're all doing it. And we're telling ourselves a story of why we're going to do it later. And why when this happens, then I'm going to do it. Then I'm really going to do it, right? And we tell ourselves a story. And I know this because I've talked to many of the leaders about this stuff, because we do it too. We don't go, you know, you're telling yourself stories and then we're just, you know, all innocent, and we do it too. And this is the funny part about it. The more personal development you do, the more advanced your story gets. Oh, they get good. Oh man, like the more personal development you do, like the stories are really complex, because now, you know, we're not going to be a victim, and we know we have awareness, right? Because I am working on myself. And then like the stories are like so stupid, ridiculously complicated, where we're just like, but you don't understand. And then like the story, it's like peeling back the onion, right? the stories are so much more advanced. So this is the good part. As you're brand new, the story's not going to be as easy. So it's easier to recognize that I'm telling myself BS. This is not true. This is a story, because the more work you do on yourself, the more advanced that story gets. And we all do it. So, I was listening to Pain versus Pleasure, and I had to ask myself, what are the things that, I'm fearful of? What are the things that I'm using to hold myself back? What are the things that whatever, but I'm not saying, well, I use guys, this is the thing. One of my mentors taught me, he said, the quality of your life depends on the quality of questions that you learn to ask. And the most important questions that you can ask are the questions you ask yourself. Now, many times you want to ask yourself stuff like, well, why isn't my business growing the way I want it to? And then that's not a good question, because that's a disempowering question. See, the subconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not real. The subconscious mind has a thing called the I'm going to talk about the psychocybernetic mechanism real quick, which is simply the thermostat. And that thermostat, like when you go to that air conditioning, you set the thermostat doesn't, know one way or another. You put it on heat, it's going to keep the temperature right there on heat. You basically, the what? The psychocybernetic mechanism, which is your thermostat. Okay. So it only knows where you set it. Now, it doesn't go, why did you set me on 74? It doesn't ask questions like that. It only goes like, wouldn't you be more comfortable at 72? No, it just goes at whatever temperature you set it at. And the funny part about it is we have this thermostat set on our relationships. We have this thermostat set on our finances. We have this thermostat set on our health. And what will happen is we will self-sabotage anytime we start to get out of that comfort zone. That air conditioning clicks on and puts you right back in to whatever your comfort zone is. And that's why many mentors will say, your success depends on your comfort zone. And that success is not made in the comfort zone. You have to be open to changing that thermostat. Because what will happen is, it doesn't matter how much money you make. That thermostat will kick on and it will bring you right back to where you were. So for things to change, you need to change. For things to get better, you need to get better. It takes one skill to get to a rank. It takes another skill to keep it. And then it takes another skill to bring you to the next. If you don't acquire the skills and you hit certain ranks, guaranteed, you will be back down. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's why we have to sharpen our axe. We have to work on ourselves. And that's why myself, before we were getting on this call, I was listening to things to sharpen my axe. And the thing is that the other funny part is has anybody ever maybe cooked something and one of your ingredients were bad? Like something that you put in, like maybe you made some mashed potatoes and the milk was bad or something, right? And it messes up the whole meal. Has anybody ever experienced that before? Am I the only one? And I'm asking you that because, see, some of you all let tainted crap into your meal, right? And what I mean by that is you let negative crap enter right here. And then what happens is you start thinking about that right here. And you start visualizing, see, garbage in, garbage out. If you put bad ingredients in, the only thing that you can get is a rotten meal. So when you look at your check and you look at your activity every day, what did you feed? What were your ingredients? Right? So the thing is that, Star's saying you are what you eat, which is true. Like, bottom line is if you basically eat a bunch of junk, what's going to happen? Has anybody ever put bad gas in their car? What happens? It runs bad. It doesn't run the same. You need to have good fuel. And I'm saying that because it's what we put in our brain. So when I have negative stuff come into my life that I'm hearing and I'm listening to, or whatever I hear, just whatever crap out there, whatever wants to steal my dream or whatever, I have to go wash my brain. I have to go wash my brain. I have to go listen to something empowering. I have to pour positive stuff in. Because imagine we jump on a mindset call and I just got off of like 5 calls of people bitching and complaining and all that stuff. How good is a mindset call going to be? And how are you going to give to people if you don't have anything to give? And that comes from you putting good stuff into your head, for you basically figuring out, boom, I need to listen to this. I need to listen to that. I need to read this. I need to read that. I don't need to do anything, but I get to. So I'll listen to different things so where I can bring positivity out there. Because guys, if you don't have the positive going in, you're not going to have the positive coming out. If your whole day was, come on, let's face it. If you had a bad day and you get home and your spouse is like, how's your day? What do you end up telling them? Oh, it was wonderful. No, you tell them it sucked. You tell them, you start telling them whatever was going in your head all day, right? Whatever happened, oh man, this person was supposed to meet me at such a time. They didn't meet me. This happened, that happened, whatever. And you start sharing that crap. But what if that same stuff happened and on the way home, you basically changed what was going into your head and you were listening to positive stuff in the car and you're listening to some Tony Robbins and he's talking about, how you can change your state and how you can put yourself in a power state and change the way that you feel about something by changing the way that you think and by changing your body language. Motion creates emotion. If you get up, jump up and down and stuff like that, I promise you, you can't do some jumping jacks right now and not feel a little bit more alive and feel more energetic. Some of y'all might be like, I haven't done a jumping jack in 20 years. But still, I'm telling you, if you do it, it's going to change your state. It's going to bring you from being in a lethargic, just chilling, like, oh, what up, to you get up and you start moving before you have to do a call or something, you change your state. So what I'm saying is that if you're listening to that stuff and you're basically listening to, they're talking about the music for surfing and stuff like that. But if you're listening to the positive stuff, that's what's going to come out. But if all you hear, all you feel is just everything that's going on and everything that's happening to you, let me ask you this. Why would I want to join you? So the question you have to ask yourself, literally, is, would I want to join me? Would I want to join me? Would I want to work with me? Would I want to listen to me? And if the answer is no, hey, this is a good part about it. You can shift that. You can change that. You could become that person that you would want to join. You could become the person that other people would want to join. So it really starts with you guys. It doesn't matter. Oh, the shake was late. They ran out. Oh my gosh. It really doesn't matter. The thing is if you're fired up about, hey, we got the coffee. Hey, we got the castles. Hey, we got this. The good thing is the shake's going to be back soon. It's all on how you look at it. But the bottom line is the reason why people are joining is because people join people. Do they want to join you? And if not, why not? Now, that's not a question. Don't ask it like that. This is how you're going to ask the question. Empowering questions, empowering answers. How can I be the person that people want to join? How can I take my business to the next level? How can I grow my volume? How can I, and you just over and over and over, how can I? How do I? Versus, why isn't my business growing? Because you're asking stupid questions. Because the subconscious mind, remember that thermostat, it only knows how to answer however you ask it. So you ask the question, why? Well, because you're not good enough. Because your mama told you you'll never amount to anything. You're nothing but this. You're nothing but that. Disempowering question, disempowering answers. Empowering questions, empowering answers. So this is another little tip you can do to help you along the way. Start an emotional bank account. Well, what's an emotional bank account? Well, can we all agree that, we all here and there, if we do something good, somebody might tell us something positive. And when they do, pack that away your emotional bank account. Like if somebody says, wow, you're amazing. You made me feel so good. Boom. Emotional bank account, put it in there. And every time somebody says something positive, consciously visualize, like however you're going to visualize a checkbook or however your checking account, how you look at it. I want you to visualize almost like dollar signs, but like a positive thing. I want you to visualize placing it somewhere. Because again, people buy emotions, right? And if people are using movie stars and sports, whatever, to basically emotionally tie things to people, why not you take the things that people tell you positive about you and pack it away in your emotional bank account so where when you need it, you can go, boom, I remember when Sean told me this. Hey, I remember when Michelle told me this and it made me feel like that. Hey, I remember this. And you go and you get those things, those positive deposits into your emotional bank account and you use that stuff to move you forward. Because stuff's going to happen. And if you're packing that stuff away in your emotional bank account, well, what's going to come out? Garbage in, garbage out. See, the thing is that we have to be careful of what we let in. We have to be careful of what effect we can have. It's funny. I have kids and, sometimes, and I've done a lot of personal development over the years, but does that mean I'm perfect in any way? I mean, my wife will say I am, but I mean, I'm joking. Any of y'all that know my wife knows she's not going to say that. But the thing is, it's funny because I blame my wife for everything. And I'm always like, oh, my wife, Jill won't let me, or she's mean or whatever. And anybody that knows her knows I'm full of crap and they always take her side. They never take my side. They always take Jill's side. Like everybody's Jill's best friend. And it's like, I can have some of my closest friends are all like, they all like her more than me. But point being is, I have no idea where I was going with that one. I don't know. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. That was a pattern interrupt. Because I was laughing because I always blame her for everything. Oh, kids. So, my son is very like the kid's athletic and could do things, but he's not the most motivated. And, you want to basically go as a dad, like you want to slap him and be like, come on, boy, get up, get your lazy butt up. And you want to tell him things and you want to basically, you want him to just step up and do stuff. But the personal development side, I haven't always been the best at of how to communicate with him based on his love language and my son's love language. And I have to consciously, because the human side of me wants to just be like, get your ass out of bed, boy. Come on, let's go do something, right? Yet that's not going to motivate him based on his love language and style. So we have to pay attention, especially with the people we love. Like, you ever notice, like, all your friends will tell you, oh my God, your kids are so great. They listen so well. They whatever. And around you, you're like, who the hell are they talking about, this heathen? Like, they don't listen to you the way they listen to other people. People always act better around, like, your kids are going to act better around other adults than they are going to be with you. They're going to talk down on you different than they're going to talk to other people. And if you raise them right, all your friends are going to be telling, oh my God, they're so sweet. They're so polite. They're so whatever. They come home and they're not like that. And I'm sharing that because we're also like that. Who do you think they got it from? Because how are you talking to your significant other? Like, there's things that I notice I have to work on it. Like, Jill and I are sitting here, like today we got our preliminaries for the house. And there's certain things where I'm like, I want to basically have a certain kind of siding. And my wife is determined that with a metal roof, you can only have certain types of, and I'm just like, that's just ridiculous. Like, you can, and I'll talk to her differently. And like, she's like, you don't have to raise your voice while you're talking about it. Like, I'm like, I'm not raising my voice. She's like, well, your tonality and the way that you're coming at me aggressively. My point is can we all agree we don't act the same when we're out there? The people that we love gets the worst of us. It's crazy. Like, they should get the best, but they end up getting the worst because there's the most comfort. That we're the most comfortable with them. So they hear the real you, right? Or who is the real you? But guys, again, it's something you just got to pay attention, and it's stuff that we have to constantly work on. And she'll call me out on it, and I have to sit there and go, oh, you're right. I might not always say it like that. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not coming at you like anything. You just need to understand metal roof is better. No, but the thing is that it's just interesting how we will communicate with people and all that other stuff. So with that being said, guys, the moral of all of this stuff is basically, one, have awareness of yourself. Have awareness of how you make yourself feel, how you make other people feel when they're around you, how to create the environment that people want to be around you because you're a pleasure. When they come into the party, are they looking at, wow, I'm so excited I get to hang out with Chris? Or they're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to listen to this dude bitch and complain and whatever. Like, what do they feel? How do you make them feel? Guys, that's stuff that you can control. I have to consciously, like, make sure. So with taking family photos and stuff, like, if y'all ever notice, like, my smiles are always like, because I suck at smiling. Like, I screw up all the family photos. Like, I'm the one that basically we go to do the family deal and we're having to do it over and over again because I'm the one that screws up the smile. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to, like, just, like, I know how to laugh. I know how to be goofy. I know how to have fun, but I don't know how to smile. So I go, and just, I had to do goofy. So that is how I have to smile. So where it's whatever. Point being is, how do you make people feel when you're around? I've been told that sometimes I could come across like I might be in my head and I might be processing things, just thinking about stuff. And I could come across like aloof or cocky or not care or whatever. So I have to be conscious of what am I putting out there? So point being is, guys, we have to have an awareness of what energy are we putting out there and what are people seeing and what are they feeling from us? And then two, how do you feel about doing your business? Are you talking yourself out of why it's not working and trying to find things to make you feel good about why it's not where you are? Or are you focused in on how can you take it to the next level? How can you make it what you want? Two different answers, two different questions. Or it's the same question, but how you word it gives you a different answer. And then lastly, pain versus pleasure. I want you to, can everyone agree to just have a conscious effort, like when you go to do something, to sit there and go, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about making calls? And then start to recognize, wow, like I'm afraid to do this. Well, why? Pain versus pleasure. And then think about the analogy we talked about with the gym. You could think about doing it, or you could just go do it, and you're going to feel a lot better if you do it. So guys, it's really that simple. I'm going to shut up because we already went like 50 minutes. Does anybody have anything they want to share? Any insights? Any leaders want to jump in or whatever as we close?
I just want to tie back to your pain versus pleasure. I'm glad you ended on that note again. Just strictly with this right here. I think most of us have heard a lot or some variation of what Chris is sharing tonight. There was tons of golden nuggets in there, right? But here's the deal. We're always going to err towards the side of pleasure. We're not going to take now I'm just a freak. I love leg day in the gym. So I'm going to pick that. I just am. But most people are not going to do that, right? So look at the big picture for a second. Here's what's so cool about what we're doing right here at the Happy Code. With leadership like this, guys, we are so deep in leadership, and we have products that actually do what they say they're going to do. And the stuff that's coming in the next few months is mind-blowing. So what I'm telling you is this: what else do you need to know to lean towards the pleasure side? And I'm not talking about the immediate pleasure of, well, let me watch TV and not think about making those calls, because that's what would drive me crazy. Not that we watch TV, but knowing that I could have done 5 more calls and I only stopped with whatever I had, right? How many more could I have done? We actually had a customer try to talk us out of finishing a sod job today. And we went till 7:30. We wrapped the entire job up and they couldn't believe it. Were we hurting? Absolutely. But we crushed it. We got done. We don't have to go back tomorrow, right? So I'm going to share this with you real fast. If you look at the big picture of pain versus pleasure, instead of the immediate gratification right now, the pleasure in that scenario is always in following what you're hearing on these calls and just doing it. That's the pleasure, because the pain is if you don't do it next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, still kicking yourself in the teeth. And, and I'll end on this right here. Through multiple traditional businesses, I've seen limiting beliefs, low thermostats. In our area, the average lawn guy is getting $30, $35 a yard. We average 62. Why? Because we believe we're better than everyone. We just do. It's not a I'm better than you thing, but that's where I've set. I won't go and do anything less than $60. I just won't drive over there. Right now, everybody else can do the same thing if they believe. So I've helped 5 other people build a lawn service in our area, right? Here's the thing. The ones that believed, they're killing it like we are. And the ones that aren't, they're out of business, because they were happy to take the little $30 yards and they didn't make more than 2 years worth of doing it, because they thought it was easier to call their friend that's going to, of course, your friend's going to try your little business. No, that's way harder. That's the $30 yard. It's so much easier to drive up and know, not because you actually believe you're better than everybody else, but just because there's other people getting $60 a yard. So if other people can get it, why not me? Why would I charge 30 if there's 3 other companies getting 60? So what I'm telling you is, there are so many people on this call tonight that are getting $60 a yard. Why not you? Call the 10s on your list, not a 1. Call the top, your chicken shit list. Call those people. The busier people, Todd, tell me this is not true. The busiest people in the world are the ones that are going to be the most receptive to what you're saying, because we have a model that produces an income without requiring them to be there for 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day. I can gladly tell you that not only did we kill it in our Amazon business today, not only did we kill it in our Happy Coffee business today, but we laid sod for 12 hours today, tilling, raking, sweating, sunburning. But you know what? Those side businesses were rocking and rolling the whole time because we put in that effort in the beginning for the delayed gratification. And that's that pain versus pleasure in the macro.
Hey, to talk to that, Sean, I hope you first of all laid it green side up, and you guys had your whereabouts with you. But I was reading something the other day, and it's kind of what kind of reset where we were at. And it was talking about temporary pain versus long-term pleasure. So if you take temporary pain now, your long-term pleasure is the ability to reach your goals, the ability to reach your dreams, the ability to reach those things. And it kind of hit me, pick your pain. Pick your pain now or pick your pain later. Because if you live in your comfort zone now, which everyone, including myself, have been doing, you're going to pick a longer pain because you're not going to reach your dreams. You're not going to reach your goals. You're not going to pay for your kids' college. You're not going to do those things. So pick your pain now, short-term pain for long-term pleasure, or long-term short-term pleasure for long-term pain. So it really resonates with me. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate that. It really just kind of brought that message home.
Awesome sauce. Anybody else have any value they want to share before we close out? Again, as of right now, we still have coffee chats. I know that there's a lot of teams that are doing all kinds of different coffee chats. Then we have the big community coffee chat. If you want to get on that, that is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at elevatetohappy.com. Again, all recordings of these and our Getting Started trainings are posted on zoomreplay.com. That's zoomreplay.com. You guys have an awesome night. I hope you got value tonight. Everybody take care, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Have a great night.
Thanks, Chris. Always great.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.